Hello and welcome to the good news, bad news edition of What the Hell Just Happened, the vlog that believes that perception can be reality. I'm your host, Martin Ganapolar. Today's topic reminds me of the story where the guy goes to the doctor to get the results of his biopsy. In the exam room, the doctor says, well, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? Patient says, good news can wait, doc. Just give me the bad news. Doc looks at the test results and says, you have kidney cancer and we're just trying to decide on surgery or chemo. Patient says, oh my God, that's terrible. What possible good news could there be? Doc looks up from the report and says, well, last night I won $5,000 on a lottery scratch. All news is relative to how we perceive it, right? Last week, we had lots of news stories about our nation's health and well-being, some good, some bad. So first, some good news. Nearly a third of our population has been fully vaccinated for COVID-19. We're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel of this virus, and the economy is beginning to improve because of it. There was a small hiccup in the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in which 6 women developed blood clots and 1 died of it after receiving the single-dose vaccination. But the good news on that is that it was just 6 people in 7 million doses administered, and the FDA immediately paused the vaccine until all the data could be collected on it. Then last week, the J&J vaccine resumed usage. In other words, the system worked as it was designed to work, kind of like a vaccine circuit breaker. Inspect, reset, done deal. But there was also some bad news. Mississippi, Georgia, New Jersey, Texas, all reported the lowest amount of immunizations last week. Now, come on, you guys, even the former president and his wife got vaccinated in January. What's your excuse? The really bad news is India, where there's yet another terrible COVID-19 spike. There are so many COVID deaths in Mumbai that the crematoriums are literally melting down. People have taken to burning corpses in empty lots. It's a tragedy of epic proportions. The US government is sending payloads of support and supplies to try to help, and let's hope it does. Back in this country last week, Officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murdering George Floyd, Minnesota, which was good news for our system of justice. The bad news is that during the trial, 64 other Americans died at the hands of police. President Biden's expressed support for the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. This law, if passed, will prohibit chokehold restraints, do away with no-knock warrants, and will mandate that all police carry and use a body cam, among other provisions. It's a good start, and it's surprisingly supported by the majority of police officers. On the bad news side of the column, there are new threats to our democracy happening, even as I speak. Over the past few weeks, over 300 new state laws were passed, making it harder for folks to vote. These laws were quickly passed by Republican officials in over 7 states. The last election apparently scared the living shit out of Republicans who know they have no new ideas to offer and thus are not attracting new voters. The good news is virtually all of these laws are being challenged both at the state and federal levels. And the really good news is that big business appears to generally disapprove of voter suppression. What a surprise. In fact, a bunch of big corporations have discontinued donations to Republican-backed causes and candidates. Major League Baseball pulled the All-Star game out of Georgia because of these laws. And the beat goes on. On the good news side of the column last week, Attorney General Merrick Garland announced that over 439 people had been arrested for various crimes centering on the attempted insurrection in our nation's capital on January 6th. Bad news is that guys like Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and yeah, even the big kahuna himself remain uncharged in these crimes so far. But we live in hope. On the issue of the environment, there was major good news last week. The US hosted a virtual international summit on climate, during which ambitious goals were set to lower carbon usage over the next 30 years. This will supercharge the manufacture of alternative energy devices and solutions like electric cars, solar, and wind-fueled electrical grid enhancements. The economists predict this will create millions of good-paying new jobs right here in the US, and we can save the earth by doing it. This isn't difficult. flying a drone on Mars is difficult, and we did that last week too. Now, if you have doubts about the direction we're heading environmentally, ask your kids what they think. They'll give you the best news of all. They'll tell you the truth as they perceive it. Hey, thanks for spending a few minutes with me on What the Hell Just Happened. Take care of yourselves and the ones that you love, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.